All right, friends, it's Timon, and we're back with a new Blaha video. This just popped up like 1 second ago, so I'm gonna do a reaction to this video. Blaha says, the gym lifting, recruiting fitness, Gear Slave says, how to train for complete back development. Wow, man, this is just incredible. Okay, whatever.
All right, let's talk a little bit about complete back development. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today, but a quick reminder, if you guys
He thought he would chat about this? Okay.
please click like down below, be greatly appreciated. If you are not following me or subscribed, please do
Yes,
so.
please tell me about it.
And if you guys would be so kind as to drop me a comment down below to give your thoughts or to just say hello, I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much. So let's get over to the topic. People overcomplicate back training with silly nonsense. Let's be realistic. Tons and tons and tons of people have built massive, dense, ripped, thick, insane backs off of pull-ups, rows, and deadlifts. Okay?
They have? Well, yeah, to a degree. But at some point, they've adapted to their exercises. And then they start coming in often. And the more often they come, the more it's protected. And it lingers in type 1 because the type 1 protect the type 2 from getting what? Damaged. So it protects them from building, from getting bigger and stronger.
Let's make that clear. So when people start talking about why do this cable,
Let's put it this way. Your muscles do not want to grow. And the only way they can grow is if there's a very particular stress placed on a muscle. When a muscle is in a lengthened position, that is the most stress that it can ever take, tensile stress. It's like an elevator. So the elevator says the capacity in this elevator, it could take up to 12 tons of whatever, I don't know, of weight, right? But when it exceeds that 12 tons, right, the cord starts to stretch. It can stretch and then it can break. See what I mean? You understand me? So the whole point in lifting is to exceed a certain capacity which those muscle fibers can handle, and they cause these breaks in them. They call them micro tears. Ever heard of it, Blaha? Yeah, people, really, yeah, seriously. They cause these things called micro tears in them in the lengthened position. They don't get micro torn in a short position where you're ass cheek squeezing muscles. You get it, man? Your back, like rowing your back and squeezing it. Oh, like Jeff Nippert says, feel the squeeze. I don't want to feel the squeeze. Get it? You understand me? I want to feel the lengthening and that tearing in the muscle so I know I'm growing.
I do this, line up the fibers, or I squeeze and contract.
See? Listen to Blaha. And I squeeze and I contract. Okay.
Really? Does anyone really think that's what's built great backs? No, if anything, it's been my experience as guys with small backs who are just lazy. And they're looking for some sort of little cheat that they think will allow them to just not get really strong at these basic movements. And I'm not saying...
You know, he must have been watching my videos. You know, people are, you see on my videos, I do stuff, I talk about it. The dips and these pull-ups. So Blaha's doing them with weights now. Weighted pull-ups, weighted dips. Because in his mind, he thinks, well, this is what builds a back. Let me tell you something. Everything will build your back if you're damaging it. If you're not damaging it, it's not going to grow. But every exercise is made to damage your back if you know how to use it to damage your back, and then it will grow. So all exercises will damage your back and make it grow. You understand me? But does that mean that you necessarily have to do pull-ups or dips? Like, this is a part of what we call calisthenics, but do you have to do them? No, not necessarily. See what I mean? You can stick to the exercises that you're familiar with somewhat, and as long as they're getting you damaged, your muscles will get bigger and stronger. Will that still be transferable to dips? Yes. It will be transferable to dips. The whole point in lifting is to gain the most maximal amount of damage in that exercise so it can come back bigger and stronger. And when it comes back bigger and stronger, it is a carryover to every exercise. You understand me? Yeah.
Some refinement isn't ever beneficial. It can be, but that refinement is almost never that nonsense. The refinement is always traps, right? Better traps, maybe a little bit of rear delts. That is 100% of the refinement. The thickness and the size and the density comes from the basics. So let's talk a little bit about those basics. And really, for most guys, just get really strong at pull-ups and rows. So the trick with the pull-up, obviously, number one, you
just get really strong at pull-ups and rows. Oh, man. In science, they will tell you the two best exercises for growth would be the squat and the bench press. And if all the only exercises you had to do that they would allow you to do, let's say they said, hey man, you only have two exercises we allow you to do, which ones would they be? You're going to have to choose. And I'm going to tell you right now, it would have to be the bench press and the squat. You understand me? Those are the two major exercises that are going to build the shit out of you, make you super strong.
To build lats. Okay, we're going to have barbell rows to worry about the entire back. When you start worrying about other stuff besides lats on pull-ups, that's where I find guys don't build lats. I've seen...
He finds this is where people don't build lats. Man, again, your back exercises, a lot of people, they use their arms, they row with their arms, and the muscle has a very short range of motion. I saw a guy now bouncing in an astronomically heavy weight for his back, which is ridiculous. Here, let me show you something.
Plenty of guy.
Let me show you something. Hold on. So check out this guy for an example, okay? I'm just going to use this guy as an example.
Build bigger traps according to science. A massive overload in the stretch position or using paper weights so that you can squeeze.
A massive overload in the stretch position or using paper weights. Okay, you don't have to use paper weights, but look at this guy, what he's doing.
And hold in the contracted position. Obviously the former, right?
Obviously, the other guy was stupid there. Okay, this guy's really stupid, bouncing the weight up and down. Do you have to go that heavy? The range of motion is very short, okay? You should go heavy, definitely. But you don't have to be bouncing it up and down like this. This is not a good thing to bounce an astronomically heavy weight up and down like a loser. The problem with a lot of people, he thinks, well, this is building my traps. Is it building your traps? I don't know. He's just bouncing it up and down. He's really not sure what's going on here or what's building it.
So why don't science-based guys do this? Because it's never been about what works.
See how he's throwing it up and down and bouncing it? Yeah, he's getting a stretch and all that at the bottom, but he doesn't really know what's causing it because he's too stupid. And Mike Israetel is terrible.
Works, or even what should work according to science. It's about feeling like the smartest guy in the gym. And loading up a bunch of weight doesn't feel sciencey or counter.
Right. I'm not a science-based lifter. I don't use science. I prove what I say with science because people ask me, can you prove what you say? So I do that. But what this guy's doing here, this is just stupidity. And he's most likely on something and throwing these weights up and down like a loser.
Intuitive, like you figured out some deep secret. It feels like with some dumb.
Holy shit, man. This guy's really dumb. Look at him. There's a lot of dumb people like this out there. And then when they get injured, they start crying. This is not good for your rotary cuffs or anything like that. Bouncing a heavy weight up and down. But whatever, man. Each to their own, bro. You know, like I said, there's a lot of people, they don't know what makes muscles grow. They just think, well, then I just throw this up and down with a really heavy weight.
Bro would do, even if science says it should work, and it totally does.
What's up, fella?
Yeah, I'm not saying he doesn't have anything there. He definitely does. So let's go back to Blaha. So yeah, man, you know, you get a lot of people like that out there. They just think, well, I did this bouncing with a heavy weight and I grew this muscle. Like I said, they take steroids and then they bounce a heavy weight, but that doesn't necessarily mean much is going on there.
Besides lats on pull-ups, that's where I find guys don't build lats. I've seen plenty of guys out there who are like, when they do pull-ups, they're successfully swinging.
They're not damaging their lats because they're using they're using a very long range of motion. They're using their arms, and your back has a very short range of motion, like you saw in that what that guy was doing, bouncing the weight up and down. So very short range of motion. Your trap has a very short range of motion. Some people lift their shoulders. This guy was bouncing the weight up and down, kind of using the trap area and shoulder. I don't know. I mean, people, whatever, bro. Just people will do whatever.
All the way up over the bar. I've seen guys who pull all the way up, get their nipples to the bar. They can do like 20 of them, right? I watched a guy do that, and I'm like, hey, that's great from a athletic perspective. That's cool. Do you think he had a back? Was his back even remotely close to mine?
No, Blaha has a back. Look at him. He's got the back, bro. Baby, come back. Yeah, it's Blaha. Blaha time. He's got hair in his chest. I think he stopped shaving.
Were like half the size of mine.
He has kyphosis in his back.
Which again, you look at it and go,
Look at those little skinny arms that Blaha has. This is sarcopenia. He has these small legs and skinny arms, and he has a wide body, like a fat, round body. That's a sign of sarcopenia. The little shoulders, the little arms, the little forearms. Man, this is funny, bro. I gotta take this shot.
dude, you're doing 20 pull-ups. How in the hell do you not have a back? Because he's focused on these other performance elements.
Yeah, he's focused on performance. That's why he has no lats, no nothing, no back. Because he's based on performance, bro. Get it? And performance doesn't build muscles.
It's been my experience to trick to wide lats with a pull-up. Just make sure you get the stretch at the bottom.
Are you stretch at the bottom? Are you training for performance? Or are you training to damage muscles and grow them bigger and stronger? Which one is it? You have to choose.
Bring it up to the point where your shoulder blades pinch together. Because keep in mind, when you go beyond that, what are you doing? You're working all sorts of other muscles and you're taking the lats out. And we get those other muscles from the row. So if you're shortchanging your lats to deal with that, I'm not telling you not to. If you enjoy doing that and you want that sense of accomplishment or you feel that's a proper pull-up, by all means, do what makes you happy. But if you're going to be concerned with you, like I want a really, really, really wide, crazy wide back, you need to make sure you're focusing on the lats, on the pull-ups. So a fairly reasonably wide grip, the stretch at the bottom. Keep the chest up. Don't try to swing overboard. Keep the chest up. If you keep the chest up, yeah, especially if it's wide grip, it may very well limit your range of motion. But it's because you're keeping the lats involved. And once the lats have reached their range of motion, that's it. You're done.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That's going to get you a wide back. Okay, rows. All sorts of rows. I'm a fan of every type of row. Pendlay rows, bent over rows like you saw me doing there.
I'm a fan of every kind of row. You don't need to do every kind of row. You just need to get damaged. You need to row to damage your back. See what I mean? As long as it gets damaged, here's the thing. There are a lot of exercises you could do. I'm not saying you shouldn't do them. I'm not saying you shouldn't do like a landmine, or you shouldn't do like a reverse grip row or whatever for your back. What I'm trying to tell you is all of those exercises, if done intensely and vigorously, in the eccentric, will cause them to damage and cause them to grow, right? See what I mean? They'll all damage your back if you're doing them properly in the eccentric and you're able to get them to damage. Number one, you're doing the eccentric. Number two, you're actually able to get them damaged. You're not adapted or you're a performing slave, okay? So, yeah. They'll all cause your back to get damaged. Can you build a thick back just doing landmine? Yes. Can you build a back doing a barbell row for your back? Short range of motion without using your arms? Yes. Yes, obviously. Yes. See what I mean? All of them are going to work. But some may cause slightly more damage than the other. Depends. I don't know. It depends on the load. The load. You can manage more load with it. I don't know. Can you manage more load rowing with a barbell as opposed to using a landmine? Depends on how you're angled, the position, whatever. It's really based on the load that you're using. See what I mean? So in the eccentric exercise, what you're looking for is the load that you're using on that muscle to cause it to damage. The heavier the load, the more the damage to that muscle fiber. So why waste your time on an exercise where that muscle cannot get enough load on it? So what you're looking for is to isolate those muscles with the maximal amount of load in the eccentric exercise, and it will damage and come back bigger and stronger. Do not waste your time on exercises that do not place enough load on those muscles to cause them to damage, to cause them to come back bigger and stronger. Yeah.
Yates rows, dumbbell rows, one-arm dumbbell rows, incline dumbbell rows, inverter. You guys have watched me do all that stuff over the years. I love rows. I think rows in general are great, and some of my clients do cable rows if the others bother them. But if you're looking to just...
Like this exercise, what he's doing right here, short range of motion. This is a short range of motion. It's mostly concentric. And even when you're lowering it, that doesn't really matter. It's a short range of motion, but regardless, this is a very poor exercise for building your body big and strong. You know that? It'll make you better at deadlifting for sure. You'll get really good at deadlifting, but it's a very poor exercise for building your muscle big and strong. See what I mean? And people are going to argue with me. They're going to say, no, man, the deadlift, it's the best exercise. Well, I'm not saying it's bad. If you can do this eccentrically, yes, it could work for you if you do it eccentrically. See what I mean? The most important part is the lowering. You have to lower it. It has to be lowered submaximally in this exercise. Here's the thing. Some exercises, an eccentric exercise to damage your muscles, some of them have to be submaximal. That's why they have 3 categories. We have submaximal, we have supramaximal, and we have accentuated. For this exercise, you definitely want to go submaximal on the deadlift because it's a full body compound exercise. So you want to go submaximal. And in the bench press, people aren't really going supramaximal in that exercise because the load is heavy, just like the load here on the deadlift. It's heavy. You're going to go really heavy. It's a full body work. It's a full body exercise. So it always ends up going submaximal anyways on the bench press. You're not really, you can't press 400 pounds fast or 315. You can't go that fast. The only time you can go fast on it is once you get bigger and stronger, you can go faster. But once you start moving up to a heavier weight, it's going to turn out to be submaximal again. So some exercises require submaximal, some require supramaximal, and some require a lot of accentuated exercise. It depends what you're doing there. I don't know, right? See what I mean? So accentuated means you're doing real heavy loads that you couldn't necessarily do for full rep ranges or full sets. So yeah, because you're busy, you're trying to overload the muscle like crazy and trying to get it to come back. You're trying to cause maximal amount of muscle damage. That's why people do accentuated, because they could do more load accentuated than they could do supramaximal or submaximal. Get it? Look, man, when you become an experienced lifter, you're gonna start to understand how these things really fall in place, how they work. Blaha is not an experienced lifter. He doesn't understand any of these things.
Base build and any sort of just bent over barbell row. They can be a bit of...
Look, it's not...
Base build and any sort of just bent over barbell row. They can be a bit of a cheat row where you use straps. It can be really strict like you saw me doing. I mean, I'm doing sets of 8 with 225 there.
Yeah, I'm doing this and straps and cheat rows and blah, 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 blah.
Raw dog in it, strict, okay?
Sure, yeah.
You'll get a thick back. So what the row brings is that not only does it continue to build the lat,
You're not going to get a thick back if that back is not getting damaged. If there's no damage, that back ain't growing.
it builds that upper back also. It builds the whole trap.
And it can't be minor damage either. If it's minor, it'll just patch it up. It'll just repair it. You'll just be repairing it. The damage has to be astronomical. You have to cause astronomical amount of damage in that session. Do not go to the gym and waste your time. Time is valuable. Time is money. Time is everything, bro. Time is your life. If you're coming in on the day to damage your muscles, you better fucking damage the fuck out of them and get the fuck out of there and then go. It's a training to eat as well. After your training session, your damaging session, protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown. If it doesn't, you've just fucked it all up. So what was the point? Me personally, I head down to the buffet. I'm going to eat for the next 5 hours, okay? From like whatever, 11:30 to 4 o'clock till closing.
Really get your traps thick, rear delts, while continuing to build the lats. So that combination, there's your 1-2 punch. Man, that's a winning combination right there. Okay? Now you build a really thick back if you just do deadlifts with rows. But that width, the pull-up is really what gives that width.
He must have been listening to he must be watching my videos. That pull-up really builds the width. Yes, it can, and sometimes it can't. Man, I don't know. It definitely, it can help for sure. Yes. It can definitely help. There's different variations you can do on pull-ups. You can do them supramaximally, or you can do them accentuated. Yeah. A lot of people do them. Look, man, you can do a lot of negatives on them really heavy. That is the thing. If you couldn't do it for a full range of motion on the concentric, you can do them on consistently, eccentrically accentuated with heavy, astronomically heavy weights, so you don't waste your time. For an example, guys will go to the gym. They're so stupid. They'll do full range of motion pull-ups, right? Okay. But they can't go heavy. They can't. So they'll keep eking it out. They'll eke it out, and they can't figure out why their back is not growing. Because your exercises are frivolous. In the accentuated, you can put heavy weight with a weighted belt. You could put weights on it. You could just keep doing them negatively until you finally get bigger and stronger. See what I mean? And now you can pull up those weights and everything else, and your back will be bigger and stronger. But if you stay there thinking that, man, I'm going to get a different outcome doing the same exercise, full range of motion, pulling your body weight up forever, and then, wow, finally you got up to, what is it? 1 plate. Wow, hurrah. Or, I don't know, whatever. You're just wasting your time. A lot of people waste their time in gyms.
The heavy rows is really what gives that depth, and it's because the rowing, just and then the deadlift complements that even further. The rowing is what builds all that other musculature. Helps build those some of the T-spine, some of those erectors through there, builds the entire trap. Middle and lower trap 100%. It may not give you perfect for the upper trap, but then we can do some other stuff for that, can't we? Okay? And it still builds the lats really effectively, just maybe not as good as the pull-up.
Yeah, okay.
But combine them together, we got a winning combination. All right, then you go over what about deadlifts, man? Deadlifts.
Boy.
Dude, deadlifts.
Deadlifts, ooh.
That will help build the whole trap.
Ooh, deadlifts. That'll help build the trap. Well, yeah, deadlifts, they're isometric. They do pull on the lats. They do stretch and pulling on them. But then again, you're going to have to do a lot of sets and reps.
Give you that next degree of thickness, builds the erectors. Obviously, the deadlift builds the lower body, a lot of stuff really well, but it builds the back. But it will also give you that extra thickness because it builds the erectors all the way up, all the way from the base of your spine, all the way up under your traps. It will build erectors, and then it helps with the traps. Okay, deadlifts will add that next degree of thickness and density. there's your combo.
Yeah, if there's enough stress placed there, usually in deadlifting you get something called fiber splitting. It's still considered damage. But in the isometric, yeah, you can get something called fiber splitting. It's still considered damage, though, but whatever. Yeah, you can split a fiber, okay? In doing that. The problem is people come in too often and then they fuck it up, and these things, they fork. They branch, but then they fork. And then the growth is messed up.
So what else would we want beyond that? Well, if you want some other stuff, this is where we start looking at, okay, what's going to help build the upper traps and rear delts a little. And there's a lot of tools for that. Of course, you see me doing pullovers in here too. I'm a big fan of pullovers. I think they're great just overall builder for the upper body because they work pecs, they work lats.
Pullovers.
They do work rear delts a little bit. They work the long head of the tricep a lot. That is one of the beautiful things about them. Okay, so you have that with pullovers, so you could add that to the repertoire. You know, could you do some pullovers? Can it help with your lats? Yeah, absolutely. It will give a little more stimulus. I have it in here because it's a good lat exercise that I do. You know, a lot of people are like, you could just do, you know, the straight arm press downs. You could, but pullovers bring more to the table. I don't think the straight arm press down is a bad movement, but, man, pullovers are great, and plus they're great for your shoulder health and other stuff. But yeah, they can help a little bit, but then so.
This exercise is a waste of time. Why would you do this? It's a concentric exercise. It's a waste of time. There's no damage. There's no growth. Just look, Blaha wasting his time.
Then what else will we look at? If that's not all you need, you're like, okay, so now I have a really big, really thick, really dense back, but I do need to take that upper part kind of to the next level. I'm a bodybuilder. I just want that yoke a little more. You can do other stuff. That's where you'll see me do stuff like the upright rows in there. That's where.
Blah is absolutely not a bodybuilder. He doesn't have a clue what bodybuilding is based on. Like many people that lift in the gym, they don't have a clue what bodybuilding is based on or what it's about. But whatever, man. Look at those boobs.
Stuff like an upright row helps. That's where stuff like when you get up on a 45-degree incline. To do
Oh, it's got some boobs on him.
Why? Because that stuff's going to work the posterior delts and the upper trap all at the same time. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
So again, they work other muscles too, by the way, but we're only talking about the back. We don't care that they help with the side and front delt when we're talking about our back.
Whatever.
But so yeah, those other exercises like that for you would think of as for the yoke. So once you have that wide, thick, dense back, if you want a little more yoke look and you're not getting all of it that you need from the row and the deadlift,
okay,
yeah, something like an upright row or those really high angle, they are 45-degree incline dumbbell rows, stuff like that can really help finish out that area too. But for most guys, man, just get really good at pull-ups like I talked about, get really good at barbell rows, and you will have a great back. You just have to get really strong at them.
Yeah. You just have to get really strong at them. What you have to do is get bigger. Once you get bigger, you get stronger. I'll see you in the next one. And then that weight feels light. They're too light. They're not going to cause they're not going to cause damage. You might get some damage than just a repair, but they're not going to remodel anymore. That's why you got to move up heavier and heavier and do specific things. Not to say that they won't remodel with a very astronomically heavy weight you're still working with. You can increase the sets or whatever. They'll definitely go through a remodeling. But eventually, whatever weight you're using on certain machines or something, those definitely have to go up at some point. I'll see you in the next one, man. Tell us what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. Yeah. You don't want to waste your time, man, lifting for no reason like Blaha. In a gym here like a slave.